Harrison Price for Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, Remembrance Day. And from Mike, Blake, myself, want to acknowledge those who served, continue to serve, and of course those who gave their life for this country and its founding principles.
Lest we forget. Thank you very much.
This program is a presentation of Bet365, and we're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the Historic Wall Center. As always, visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Matt Sakaris, Blake Price, four-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogers, and Hitting Switches conducting things. We got a game tonight for the Vancouver Canucks, home against the Winnipeg Jets at Rogers Arena to complete this homestand. We, of course, had the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony last night from Toronto, featuring former Vancouver Canuck Alex Mogilny. We'll get to that and more over the course of today's program. We start with the Redwoods Golf Course poll question. As always, we're asking, do you have faith in Thatcher Demko, who is returning and will start for the Vancouver Canucks tonight? We're asking this because of another injury blip. Blake, so you can vote yes, you can vote no. Do so at the Harrison Price X and YouTube channels. What says you?
I think I'm on my last straw here with Thatcher Demko's injury issues. I think if it's one more, it's a clear no for me. I will tentatively, delicately hit the yes button. But if there is one more extended absence for Thatcher Demko, I think it starts to break the faith that you can rely upon this player. And it's not his fault. It's not a criticism of the person necessarily. The Canucks have had these situations before with goaltenders that just can't stay healthy, be healthy when you need them to be. And that, it's a shame because we know when he's healthy, when he's right, he is amongst the top handful of goalies on the planet. But the Canucks need him to be available. That's the best ability, as you often say, Matt. And, it just hasn't been.
And that's why I voted no. When he's in there, he's incredible. I mean, he's still one of the best goaltenders in the world. But this weekend, after yet another blip, and again, an unscheduled blip, the goaltending shell game that took place throughout the Canucks organization on Friday, Saturday, is not something one would have scheduled.
No.
So, yeah. Blake, I continue to go back to last year, or actually this summer. When the reports were surfacing that the Canucks were looking to extend Thatcher Demko, despite the fact he was under contract this year, I just shook my head. I said, why? You've got time here. Why don't you use it? This is a chronically injured goaltender who, his summer looks good. It's been good since the end of the year. You have hopes that he's going to be a starter and pull starter duty, even if it isn't quite the same number of games as a guy like Connor Hellebuck or others in the league. I just don't know why they wouldn't have. They had Lankinen signed, right, to his extension. I just don't know why they wouldn't have taken the time of this year and gotten more information on how Thatcher was going to hold up after effectively a year scuttled by that knee injury last year.
Yeah, I
guess they feel they got a bargain on him on the extension because it isn't, the term isn't.
The term isn't exorbitant.
It's 3 years. Yeah. It's $6 million. And it's $8.5 million. Yeah. And like if he's a Vezina caliber goaltender who you can trust to be healthy, then I suppose the deal
it's
looks
underpriced.
Good.
Yeah, it's underpriced. Yeah.
But it's not grossly underpriced.
It's undertermed.
It's undertermed more than it's underpriced.
I think if he didn't have his injury problems, and let's say he didn't even win a Vezina, but he's been in the conversation for the last year or two, He's getting $10 million and he's getting 6 years, like for sure.
Yeah.
The injuries are the reason why they got the price that they did on him. They rolled the dice, like they rolled the dice on Filipino.
Right.
Like they might have to roll the dice on their next acquisition.
Right.
There's a lot of dice rolling.
It's true.
Dice and ice,
Jimmy,
quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy at the craps table.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The Canucks are paying $9.5 million for goaltenders this year and are one of the worst 6 teams in the league in giving up goals.
No, not one of the worst 6 in terms of goals above expected, though. Like they are getting peppered. They are still
the penalty kill is atrocious
Yeah.
in part because you said goodbye to Pius Suter for Evander Kane, and Derek Forbert hasn't been healthy, and those were 2 guys who were key in your top 3 penalty kill last year. Let's not forget the Canucks finished 3rd in penalty killing last year. And then next year, Blake, it goes to $13 million on these 2 goaltenders.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I understood why they wanted to jump on Connor Garland, extension eligible this past summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think the world of Connor Garland. Adam Foote was speaking of Connor Garland and the way he is rounding into a frontline player this morning. All that made sense to me. Demko was one where I was like, wow, you had time here and you chose not to use it. And what that means is you've got to get spectacular performance out of him.
As of a week and a half ago, Money Puck had, here's the latest, 5th. They're still 5th in goals saved above expected.
And Demko is a big part of that. In fact, he's really only had the one poor game this year. Other than that, he's been outstanding. But when you miss the amount of time that this guy has missed, that's got to be factored in. Mm-hmm. And as you say, it was factored into the term, wasn't necessarily factored into the price. Mike, did you put the goaltending graphic up? Oh, there it is.
It's up right now,
yeah. So here you have it, and these are just the raw stats. This isn't Clearsight Analytics or anything analytically based, but that's a very nice season thus far for Demko with the 5 wins and the 257 goals against and the 912 save. And, Lankinen, as we discussed yesterday, has to be better going forward. There's the guy you got rid of. I got to say, I've been quite impressed with the Artie Party in Pittsburgh. Young Sheloffs is getting the job done for a Penguins team that is punching above its weight class. I mean, I remember driving around in the summer, listening to radio and hearing people talk about the Penguins as maybe the worst team in the NHL. And I was like, I don't see that with
Well, I don't think we saw Gino and Sid doing what they're doing. Like they are turning back the clock.
Sure. But I didn't perceive Pittsburgh to be as bad as San Jose and Chicago have been over the last few years. Anyway, Sheloffs is doing a nice job for them. And they find themselves in the thick of the playoff chase. Still very early. We'll see where that goes. But, put it this way. If Demko, as you say, Blake, this is your last straw, if Demko continues to be this on-again, off-again availability goaltender for the Vancouver Canucks, I think you're going to start to hear more and more recriminations from Canucks fans about the decisions that were made here in terms of trading Sheloffs and signing Demko to that extension when you already had Lankinen under contract. Like I was of the belief when they re-signed Lankinen, okay, they're putting a lot of money into goaltending next year, but they're going to secure the crease. They understand that they'll probably have some trouble scoring goals going forward, and so they're going to try and win the games with defensive hockey and great goaltending. And at $9.5 million, okay, it's less than what Bobrovsky makes in and of himself. And so that was something that I could get behind as a 1 year. Let's see where Thatcher Demko goes in terms of his health and his recovery and his ability to handle a workload. But then the extension part, I was like, okay, we shall see.
But when you bring in the rebuild and the blow it up scenarios, no move clause kicks in with the new contract next year.
That's July 1st. Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. We do go through a rebuild scenario with Cam Robinson today.
Didn't address that issue.
Mostly academic.
Yeah.
Like we had our say on yesterday's program, I just do not see this owner ever wanting to rebuild. And so I think it's pie in the sky and mostly futile to be talking about rebuild, but that seems to be a thread that is very common right now amongst Canucks fans, so we play it out a little bit with Cam. More on that in a moment. First, let me tell you about the Redwoods Golf Course, which can do your custom corporate event, and you can have some fun with it. Why don't you include golf lessons as part of the program? They'll get their lead teaching professional, Craig, a PGA of Canada teaching professional, to help you out. They have the large, covered, and heated driving range at the Redwoods. And if you have children ages 6 to 16, set them up for the sport of a lifetime. Private, semi-private, junior lessons available, flexible to your schedule. Redwoods-golf.com. Let's get to our top story, brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. Thatcher Demko is back as the Canucks look to get above 500 with a win over Winnipeg tonight at home. Canucks starting goaltender returns after missing the 2 weekend games, a win over Columbus and a loss in overtime to the Colorado Avalanche. He would have surely started one of those 2 games. Kevin Lankinen wasn't scheduled to go back-to-back by any stretch of the imagination. Also missed the Friday practice. He hasn't played or practiced formally in 8 days since that 5-4 overtime win in Nashville last Monday.
Goalies don't need to be on the ice of practice per se because they're not a part of a system per se, but he was on the ice multiple times, presumably taking shots, and it is very extraordinary for a goaltender to jump from the IR into the starting rotation without having been to practice. So one can only surmise that it was extremely minor, extremely precautionary, and that he was practiced thoroughly before jumping into the fray. You have to assume. They know what they're playing with here. They know the value of the player. So
just the thing is I suspect I and many of you out there in Canuck Nation will be watching this game tonight on pins and needles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Every time he has to stretch to make a save, every time he has to go down and has to get back up. Herein lies the trouble with Thatcher Demko. When he's healthy and he doesn't have any of these episodes, you sit back and watch and go, that's one of the best goaltenders on the planet.
And 5 on 5?
The problem is he almost never, it has been very rare for him to have runs of games this year where that goes completely to the back of your mind or out of your mind entirely because of missed games here, missed games there.
And 5 on 5, Matt, I'm not terribly worried about that part. Where I'm going to be on pins and needles for Canucks fans is the penalty kill. Because the penalty kill being rinsed by opposition power plays, getting the goaltender moving left to right, having to make desperation saves because the penalty killers don't have it buckled down, that's where danger might lurk. And it's why the penalty kill would do very well to get clears ASAP and not let the opposition power play get set up and get the goalie moving like that.
The Vancouver Canucks penalty kill 31st in the National Hockey League at 67.9%. It is 30th in net PK percentage when you throw in the shorties at 71.4. The only team that is clearly worse than the Canucks on the penalty kill is Travis Green's Ottawa Senators. So
we know about that. Yeah.
Demko did not speak. So typically when a player comes back to game action from being hurt, they address the media. Typically some goaltenders do not speak on the morning where they're starting a game. Demko chose not to speak this morning. He will do so post-game, we're told. So it was left to his teammates to address his return to the lineup. Here's a guy we haven't heard from a lot this season. Here's defenseman Marcus Pettersson on what getting Demko back means.
It's huge. He's had a great start to the season here, and like you said, Kev, playing back-to-back as a goalie nowadays is tough, and he did a great job for us and got 3 out of 4 points against 2 pretty good teams. But yeah, like Demers looked so good early on in the year here, and it's a huge boost every time you get somebody back in the lineup.
Heard Kevin Woodley talking about the effect of back-to-back. The goalie can get through it, but they actually feel it around today. Like today would be when
Yes,
Lankinen starts to feel
yeah.
like crap about this. So it was huge for Demko to get back and be available for this game, because this would have really taxed Lankinen to ask him for this one.
The other thing I heard, though, and this was last week, even before any of this Demko and Lankinen going back-to-back business started, I heard Steve Valiquette, the former NHL goalie and head of Clearsight Analytics, which is truly the
Top notch, yeah.
Yeah, the spot to go for understanding goaltending. He said the save percentage in the second game of guys who go back to back, it dips, but it doesn't dip
they can do it.
precipitously. Like you don't sit there and look at it and go, "Oh, that is such a big margin that we absolutely should play the backup goaltender in every single one of those instances." And he was talking about his time with the Rangers with Henrik Lundqvist. It was like, no, I want to play these. The more shots, the better. Like, I get better as the game goes along. And he felt like 2 games in a row really got the best out of King Henrik way back in the day with the Rangers when he was one of the world's best goaltenders. So, yeah, as Marcus Pettersson outlines, valiant effort from Kevin Lankinen. They got 3 or 4 points on the weekend. We talked about it yesterday, that was a successful weekend for the Vancouver Canucks, any way you slice it, and got them back to striking distance here. And they were in striking distance, but kept them within striking distance of a playoff
And
spot.
technically, they're still doing this back and forth win-loss thing, but this is a chance to go 3 games unbeaten in regulation.
Yep.
Like they haven't gone streaking this season much.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the one, right?
Yeah, so it's a pseudo streak here if they can get points out of this one tonight in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, the one streak this year was back middle of last month where they won back-to-backs in Dallas and Chicago, the second one in a shootout, and then went into Washington 2 days later and got that game as well, a modest 3-game winning streak, but at the time that turned the record to 4-2. Yuri Patera remains with the big club, and he skated this morning as well. I almost wonder if he might be the backup here tonight. If you're going to keep him around, you don't want to throw Lankinen in under any circumstances.
I mean, right? At any given moment, we could hear news of Patera going down, but I could see that strategy as well.
Well, I mean, to me, it stands to reason. If you had him at skate this morning, it probably means you're going to tell Lankinen that, hey, good weekend, lots of tough work there, take tonight off. Anyways, we'll see how they do it. Club is getting healthier as both Jonathan Lekkerimäki and Victor Mancini were back at morning skate. Full go this morning. Lekkerimäki, the winger, has missed 11 games. Mancini, the defenseman, 7. That will increase to 12 and 8 as we suspect neither will play tonight. Both of them skated as spares this morning, but they should be options for Friday in Carolina as the Canucks begin a 3-game Southeastern road trip against the Hurricanes. They've got the 2 Florida teams as well. Still waiting on Captain Quinn Hughes and center Elias Pettersson to break out. Hughes has but 4 even-strength points on the season. Petey with 7. And the Canucks 8-1 on the season, have alternated wins and losses over the last 9 games. Haven't been above 500 since October 23rd when they fell in Nashville to level their record at 4-4. Win 1, lose 1. That's a true 500 team, right?
Yeah. But, to your previous point, Hughes and Pettersson get in on any level of heater, and it doesn't even need to be red hot. Just very warm Hughes and Pettersson changes that. Like that's what alters that kind of a stat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for the glass half full crowd, we've talked about it, the injuries, particularly the injuries at center, at one point playing without 8 regulars, that's in your quiver. But that Hughes or Pettersson, but mostly Hughes, let's face it,
he's the biggest
have
orchestrator.
Not broken out and been dominant players at any point through the first 17 games this year. I think is also feeds the glass half full narrative around this.
This is the third straight game with Norris capable defenseman on the other side. You wonder if this is going to rev Hughes up again.
Yeah.
He looked very good on the weekend.
And, of course, Cale Makar on the weekend. Now you got Josh Morrissey of the Winnipeg Jets. And Jets are smarting here. They lost all 3 games on their California road trip, scored just 2 goals against the Sharks, Ducks, and Kings. Connor Garland plays his 500th NHL game tonight. He'll skate with Pettersson and Evander Kane. Points in 4 of 6 for Evander, 5 total after a slow start to the season. And as Blake outlined yesterday, was it 12 defensive zone draws against none for Pettersson?
13-0.
For 13-0. Wow.
Yeah.
That line has also drawn all the tough defensive assignments, with Philip Hedl and Teddy Bluger continuing to be out of action at center ice. So here's Adam Foote talking about Evander Kane and that line.
I think he's holding on to pucks. I think he's feeling good about his game right now. He's chipping it offensively. It seems like they got some rhythm down there with Garley and Petey. We're working on the defensive side of it for the whole group. Like they have a hard matchup these days with the injuries, and we want them to produce, but yet when you're going against these top lines too, you just want to make sure you can defend it first with that mindset. So they're asked a lot of them, but they're gelling nicely together right now.
Yeah, they are asking a lot of them, and he's not wrong. They're gelling pretty well together. Evander's been good here for a couple of weeks. I mean, Garland has a baseline level that is superb, and continue to see flashes from Petey.
Yep.
Also seeing flashes of him on social media, which we'll get to here in a moment.
Yeah, I want to see this again, just because it hasn't gone in the net. The fact that he's been getting shots away that have
looking to shoot, Blake. And looking to shoot.
To me, that should hearten him. Yes, the red light has not gone on regularly. Yes, the points have been few and far between. But it's getting closer. It should be reinforcing to him that he can do this. Let's see. We need a bigger sample size, obviously, but God, you just hope.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. We sometimes have fun with ex-NHL head coach Daryl Sutter of the Kings and Flames and his 3-2 leak, which he once muttered into our microphones. Daryl's not necessarily wrong, and particularly with the 2025-26 Vancouver Canucks. Jeff had this stat last week, just updated it. Canucks are 7-2 in games where they score 3 goals or more. They're 1-7 when they don't score 3 goals. So this is a team, despite the dreadful penalty kill, despite some wobbles in goal, mostly from Kevin Lankinen, that when it scores 3 goals is in pretty good standing, Blake. When it doesn't score 3 goals, almost has no hope.
This is the weakest forward set since the Willie Desjardins era. That's the downside. Like, especially with Elias Pettersson not going. So getting to 3 goals under a lot of circumstances sounds pretty reasonable. But can
I still have infinitely more faith in this group getting to 3 goals than some of those Willie Desjardins.
Oh, no, you should. You should. They're better than that. They're better than that group.
I would hope so.
But
there wasn't much worse than that group up front. I mean, that was a wasteland.
Yeah, but this is still going to be a work in progress until they prove they can do it on the regular. I mean, they're just above half their games scoring 3 goals. That needs to be a little bit more of the norm than it has thus far. Mm-hmm. As the win losses would tell you, they need to develop a lot more consistency, particularly scoring, but also on that penalty kill that we've talked about. Mm-hmm. And hey, their power play is not exactly going like gangbusters either. If the power play chipped in, they get to 3 goals more often.
Absolutely. I know J-Pat has been on that tip as well with the Canucks. And look, the raw numbers are 18.2%, 19th in the league, which is below where you want to be.
But within arm's reach of where you want to be. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing is that, and it's actually it's 14.6, 23rd in the league net with this. But there have been a number of occasions this year, close game, 1-goal game, where the Canucks have had power plays and just crying out for a goal there, which changes everything, and they haven't been able to deliver more often than not.
I loved the breakdown that Shorty and Ray had on the broadcast the other day on DeBrusque's tip-in goal. and about movement. Garland was sitting in the bumper spot, and he darts into the corner, pulls the defender, and all of a sudden you've got an alleyway to send that puck into DeBrusk. And, when this team is stagnant, set up in their power play, not moving around, they can't expect to have success. It was a heady play by Garland to see if he could lure the defender away, create some space, and it worked like a hot tip. Movement. What's your motion is lotion? There you go.
It's a chiropractic phrase.
I know, but it works here too. Lubricating the wheels of progress on the power play. Motion is lotion.
It's really an automotive term as well. I mean, if you just let that car sit there, it's
going to cease. It's going to cease. Yeah.
Motion. Lotion.
Yeah. Pretty gross.
Yellow dog.
Oh, we're talking about yellow dog.
Tasty. Neighborhood. Also tasty.
I want to get a little bit more sedate when I've got yellow dog around.
I'm not the biggest wine drinker, but Blake drinks enough for the two of us.
I don't actually anymore, but I hear you.
There was a time.
There was a time. It's been a while since I brought
Like,
this
have
up.
I ever told you we'd go out on the road, Blake, Mike, and our producer, Mike Whittingham, and I?
Oh, is he going to worry about the damn bill again?
We go out on the road, and so we're having dinner. And needless to say, like, dinner is our big activity. So, okay, there's a drink or two perhaps before the meal arrives. Maybe even there's an appetizer. Perhaps even there's some lingering after dinner. And him and Mike would order these, like, expensive California BC cab sauce.
We would not.
And I would sit there drinking my pint of beer. And sometimes it was a craft beer, and so a little more expensive, but, in the $7, $8 range. And then the bill would come, and they'd be like, oh, let's split it 3 ways. I'm like, whoa. You guys have ordered like $180 worth of wine.
We have
I've had
never-
like four beers at $7 a pop. We're doing an even split here.
Slander. I've never ordered a bottle of wine over $60 in my entire life.
Nevertheless, the math still doesn't add up.
Well, I didn't see you taking the bull by the horns with the calculator to break down how you would pay differently.
Calculator on every phone.
Yeah, but you weren't doing that. So as long as we were in charge of the breakdown, you were going to pay what we told you to pay.
I was outvoted.
Yes. In the meantime, let's tell you about the Dark Magic Horchata Milk Stout. This is wintry weather. It's been a little bit crisp out there lately. It's time to turn your attention to neighborhood seasonal dark beer. Sweetened with a touch of lactose and vanilla, then kicked up a notch with a pinch of cinnamon goodness. It's a spell-binding concoction.
Elias Pettersson is back on social media. Kinda. Via his new bride, Caitlin Bird Pettersson, the American model and influencer. She has started a new vlog about their life. You may have caught this via her social media channels. They set up the Christmas tree. The dog was a party to it. And not only that, she has teamed up with the partner of the other Pettersson, Elias Pettersson, with a post on TikTok. There they are. They're going out to watch their guys. Both of them. Elias Pettersson.
Adorable.
I bring this up because you may remember that early in his career, Elias was quite active on social media, posting about his life, love of fashion, other topics, sometimes hockey, but oftentimes just about his life. And that waned, and then that stopped. And, of course, you know how old hockey men feel of social media, and we wondered if it was that. It was actually 1 year ago this week where Pettersson told a Swedish media outlet that he had, quote, removed all my social media, which is nice because I'm not walking around wasting time on scrolling the internet. I also get more done at home. It's very nice not to read and check Instagram. I live my life and try to turn my season around. Many around the team believe that social media was doing Elias no favors, that he does or did have rabbit ears about all the conversations and criticism of him on social media, that it was not helpful. Now, I haven't bothered going through the comments on some of these fun, lighthearted posts from Caitlin. I sure hope the haters and trolls aren't in there peppering her with all this nonsense.
I'm sure they are. There's
of
nothing
course
to stop them.
Yeah, exactly, which is why I chose not to go through the comments. Anyways, I do think this is helpful for fan engagement, and I'd encourage her to keep it up, because the more she posts about Pettersson with the Christmas tree, with the dog, and other things about their life, the more he is an actual three-dimensional human to some of the people who want to hate. Now, look, he's being paid $11.6 million, and criticism about his game on the ice comes with the territory. It's fair game. It's what hockey fans do. But we often talk about communication and PR strategies here on this program, Blake. I think this is helpful for PD going forward.
I also think it's helpful because the Canucks organization, outside of a couple of prescribed
look at
moments,
Besser.
don't have a whole lot of organic community reach out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Canucks are not out in the community en masse. They're out at Dice and Ice amongst the elite, but they are not really out there with the fans.
Unless you have a community-minded, philanthropic natured player. Like, for example, there have been Canucks like Dan Hamhuis, a great example, and Dan Hamhuis and his family.
We haven't seen that from this current group much
in the community. So you would have them making, visits to Canucks Place and things like that were off the.
Well, Horvat and his wife were very integral at Canuck Place.
Exactly, very much so. So you do get those.
Mason Raymond,
You do get those, and oftentimes they escape any kind of public glare, and to those who partake in that, absolutely. You love to see. I mean, the Sedin twins, there was a time, right, when Brian Burke used to say and was very proud of, community work is not an option in my organizations. It's a requirement for the players.
And it's a fine line, because a lot of players don't want to necessarily get credit. I think there's sides that worry about, will it appear like we're just doing it for the back pats and all that sort of stuff?
Hockey culture, right? Don't seek limelight.
But at the same time, when it is public, when people know what the team and the players are doing individually to that effect, I think people respect the community outreach, that they are putting themselves into the fabric of the community. I think they like to know.
Well, I can't overstate this. I think it is so incredibly healthy for professional athletes of any order to have as much interaction and engagement with Joe and Joanne public as possible, because it keeps them grounded.
No.
The reason I say that is because the bigger and richer that pro sports and the athletes get, the more the temptation and the more the actual execution of setting up walls around these performers, around these athletes, between them and the public. They are almost never on the same side of the velvet rope as the public. And I just think, at the end of the day, they are going to retire at some point. The fame and the celebrity is going to wane at some point, and they do have to conduct a life outside of the sport that they play, where they are like the rest of us, not uniquely and 100% defined by what they do at work, which is the temptation of viewing them from the other side of the velvet rope.
Yeah.
Which, again, I would argue, Blake, leads to some of, and the BC Lions we're talking about this week, with, threats being made to the partner or wives of some of the players. When you enculture a world where this group doesn't ever mix with that group, the public, people stop looking at them as three-dimensional human beings and start looking at them as two-dimensional media images. It is, of course, incorrect, but that is the sort of toxicity that is allowed to fester.
And it doesn't even have to be charity. You think about the Lions and Whitecaps out at the Vancouver Rise match.
That's right.
And not leaving. Like they stayed,
That's right.
It wasn't an appearance. They stayed on a cold night in Vancouver and watched the game.
Yeah. So anyways, keep at it, Caitlin. We love seeing what you pump out there on your social media channels. Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony last night from Toronto, and Blake, oh my goodness. if ever there was an event that requires a reimagination,
Yes.
I think in the world of hockey,
100%.
it is
It's
this
too
one.
much. It's too much.
They have got to get it away from a Monday night in November with games on the NHL calendar.
Yeah.
J-Pat's been talking about that for years.
That was crazy. It's absolutely
The hockey
maddening.
world should stop to honor the greatest of the game as they have their day at the Hall of Excellence.
But they also have to jazz this up and move the proceedings faster. Like there is nothing that makes me want to watch that.
I found
when
myself
tune it in.
doing that yesterday, Blake, and it's and look, Penticton's Duncan Keith, Jumbo, not Dumbo, as the commissioner mistakenly called him, Joe Thornton, who is one of the great characters of the game. You and I used to go in that Sharks locker dressing room from time to time during the heyday of the Canucks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the lightest, funnest room I can ever remember in hockey, and it was because of Joe Thornton.
Yeah. And try to score 4 goals if you can. You could even get them in a better mood.
Zdeno Chara, of course, a guy who literally stands out from the rest of his brethren in hockey. So it wasn't for a lack of
Content.
content or class.
Potential, yeah.
But I found myself flipping away from it
No,
because I just
can't do
couldn't bear the formality and that just how stuffy it is. Why does hockey love stuffy so much?
It feels like you're at a wake.
It does.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting there in the chairs, dead silent.
And it's such a quiet.
It's not a celebration.
It's such a quiet atmosphere there.
Exactly.
Where they do it at the hall. And it is completely the wrong vibe. It's got to be a party atmosphere.
Exactly.
Canton feels like
what
a lot
they
of
have
fun.
done at Canton is terrific.
Yeah.
Because if you're not familiar with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio, it takes place on the weekend before preseason games start in the NFL. In fact, it is the kickoff to the preseason calendar that there's a game, 2 teams, typically a team that has a Hall of Fame inductee in its ranks, that go to Canton and play an exhibition game. But the actual ceremony itself is outdoors. They encourage fans to show up. And so if you got a Pittsburgh Steeler who's going into the Hall of Fame that year,
All the black
you get
and
this
gold are
legion
there.
of black and gold,
Yeah.
and they're waving their terrible towels. Same goes for all the different, all the other franchises and their different cultural touchstones and chants and things like that. The player tends to bring a very large group of people to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, people who aren't just immediate friends and family, but people who were responsible for their journey in the sport and getting them to that. They tend to reach out and speak individually to some of those people among their own cheering section. And then, I don't remember hearing much about this. There's a parade through the streets with every guy in a car getting his day in the sunshine there as fans from every team line the streets. Baseball has an element of that as well. And importantly, it is happening apart from any kind of formal league business.
Because it is separate from the league, but we know the league is still woven into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So it's not like they're not talking. They're not able to talk. They are able to get on the same
they
page.
can absolutely coordinate.
But it's too bad because
But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun weekend and a fun ceremony. And there may well have been, I've covered this live in the hall. And Blake, that was 25 years ago, and it's the same damn ceremony.
And Matt, here's the thing.
Like, it has not evolved in the least.
Of the 2 nights, I think there's way more appetite to do something fun with the Hall of Fame night than there is for the NHL award show. The NHL award show is at the end of a long season.
Yep.
The players want to go to the lake. They want to get away from the game. They want to check out. And forcing them back into a hall and to do a whole ceremony, and the current players are reserved and guarded about their words. The players that are retired, they now are able to talk. They will give you some good stories.
Yep.
They will play ball.
The other problem with it, Blake, is that they call on the player who has to walk from the crowd to the podium alone on stage. It feels like a school speech.
Yeah.
In the NFL, it's a stage, huge stage,
They're lined up.
with tons of Hall of Famers up there.
Yeah.
Not just that year's class, but whatever Hall of Famers, Gold Jackets as they call them, want to come for the weekend and partake in the festivities. And that loosens the mood on that stage. It feels like the inductee can sit there and engage with the people around them in a loose, less formal, more fun environment than straight to camera and straight to the great hall where it's all darkened and you feel like you're presenting a school project.
And the place looks like a church. And the walking up, it feels like you're going to read gospel or something.
It's a good point.
It's
and
just,
now we're reading from
Corinthians
Paul's letter
1,
to
2.
the Corinthians. Absolutely, it's Call on Jumbo Joe.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And to your plan here, can you imagine the chirping from any ex-teammates that are in gold jackets? Like, it'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I'm going to guess that some of those NFL Hall of Famers on stage may have a little something in their coffee cup,
snicker,
right? Yeah. So hear me out. Move it from November to the last weekend in August before Labor Day.
Yeah.
As you know, pretty much every current NHL player is back in their home market by the end of August, right?
If not first week of September.
Right.
Yeah.
It's on a non-hockey weekend. There's no formal proceedings going on with any of the 32 member clubs. I think you can convince people to come to Toronto on the final weekend of August to have a hockey party. And look, the Hockey Hall of Fame is a marvelous place. I have, over the 18 years I've been in Vancouver and the 14 years we've been on this show, Blake, I encourage everybody, if you're a hockey fan, go visit the Hockey Hall of Fame.
And with your kids. The kids
absolutely
love it.
It's an outstanding place.
Yeah.
It does a sensational job of servicing the hockey fan who walks in off the street to learn about the game's history, celebrate, look back at some of their heroes. Amazing. But I do think they have to find a different home and a different program and procedure for the induction ceremony.
Yeah.
Former Canuck Alex Mogilny was not in attendance last night, despite a long-standing fan and media push to get him in there. Look, he is his own man, Alex Mogilny. I think everybody who encountered him in his time here in the NHL and North America will tell you that. I don't think he is the fondest flyer. If you're not familiar, he is back in his hometown of Khabarovsk, Russia. That is extreme eastern Siberia, so it's Pacific Ocean, less Moscow. And he recorded his comments where he, and those of us who have encountered Alex over his time here can also speak to his sense of humor. He's got a very biting and witty,
dry sense of humor,
oftentimes delivered just so in a second language. And he began by saying he got woken up by a call at 3 a.m. from a 416 area code. He had an idea of what that was about. Sure enough, Mike Gardner and the Hall of Fame. Welcome to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And then he joked, well, couldn't get back to sleep, thought about brewing up some coffee and said, nah, instead I'm going to go for some chilled Russian vodka.
It was not a dry celebration.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. He said the Arabica would have to wait, that it didn't quite fit the bill after taking that call. So good line there from Mogilny. He thanked the Canucks, where he said he learned to play for passionate fans in Canada and talked about Vancouver as a beautiful hockey city.
And if you forget, folks, second highest goal total of his entire career as a Canuck, second highest point total as in his career as a Vancouver Canuck, and very, very narrowly behind his Sabres tenure in terms of games played. Like, in your mind's eye, he's wearing a Sabres hat going into the hall. You don't have to do that in the hockey hall, but you know what I mean. But the Canucks are right there. Like, he is narrowly more Sabre than he is Canuck. So
his 107 points for the Canucks in 95-96 is still tied for third all-time with Pavel Bure. Only Henrik Sedin's 112-point season and Bure's 110-point year of 92-93 are better than Alex at 107. His 55 goals are still third all-time on the Vancouver Canucks list for most goals in a season. The only guy that's ahead of him, again, is his Russian compatriot Pavel Bure, who hit 60 twice. It was not the longest career, Alex Mogilny, but it was a spectacular career. I mean, he was incredible in Buffalo. He was incredible here in Vancouver. He went on to New Jersey where he helped the team win a Stanley Cup, and then he was a very good player towards the end of his career in Toronto as well. So
3 great playoff runs in a row, 2 with the Devils, 1 with the Leafs, all over 20 games played. He only played 1 playoff series with the Vancouver Canucks. It was 95-96, and I went back down memory lane there because I saw his point totals. He had 9 points in the 6 games of that one series in 95-96 against the Colorado Avalanche, a series that if you go back and look at, there is a little bit of wonder of what if they had gotten past the Avalanche, because that's a 2-2 series through 4 games. They both split in each of their home barns. They go back to Denver. They lose 5-4 in overtime. Remember, I think McLean got hurt, so Hirsch was in for the rest of the series. And then in game 6, they lose 3-2. So 2 narrow victories. And you wonder, would that core have been able to stick together? Linden was great too, 4 goals, 4 assists in the series. Would that core have been able to get one last kick at the can together and try to get something going in the playoffs if they had gotten past the Avalanche there? So just one try in the postseason.
He thanked his Russian coaches, including Viktor Tikhonov of the legendary Red Army CSKA Moscow program. He also thanked those who brought him to Buffalo. He did not specifically address his defection, but this was one of the other reasons, Blake, why I felt like he should have been in the Hockey Hall of Fame earlier than this, is that he was a trailblazer. He defected to North America at a time when the communist Soviet Union wasn't allowing its citizens, right, to leave the country. He defected at the World Championships in Stockholm in 1989. There was a fantastic documentary done by Sportsnet on this 11 years ago, Defector, the Alex Mogilny story. Our buddy Alex Blair worked on that. And it, to a degree, opened the floodgates in terms of Russian players coming over. Now, most of the Russian players came via paperwork thereafter, and there's also a terrific documentary on Fetisov, the captain of the Soviet Red Army team, and him coming to New Jersey, coming to North America the documented way, with blessing, even if they didn't necessarily cop to the fact that there was a blessing there because they didn't want to send that signal to their citizens. But without Alex Mogilny defecting from Russia to the National Hockey League, like, you and I are old enough to remember, you saw them at World Championships, you saw them at the Olympics, and then you started to see them at the World Juniors when that tournament got on television. And of course, the Fedorov, Bure, Mogilny, just how great that young Russian team was once upon a time. But that was the only realm in which you considered Russian hockey players. To have one here in North America scoring all those goals, Blake, that was pretty heady stuff at the time.
Yeah, because we got the over-the-hill ones, Makarov, Larionov, Krutov. And it was nice to see them come over at the ends of their careers anyway. Larionov ended up...
Well, I mean, Larionov played a long time.
Yeah.
Fetisov played well. But yeah, those were the ones who were given permission.
Yeah. But they were still past the age of 27 and such.
Alex was in his prime. I mean,
Yeah,
that
he
was
got the whole career there.
the best Russian hockey had to offer at the time. So anyways, pleased to see him finally get in. He looked similar.
Yeah. Looked like a retired guy. But
Yep.
Okay.
The Vancouver Golden Knights of the PWHL hit the ice yesterday for the inaugural day of training camp at a spruced-up Pacific Coliseum. Did we not love some of the images coming out of the Coliseum there yesterday? Look at that's just beautiful imaging put out by the team itself. You see the logo there at center ice. They're the only PWHL team to have their logo at center ice because every other barn is being shared. It's a $6 million upgrade, according to Rob Williams and the Daily Hive, of the Pacific Coliseum, which includes a new scoreboard. They fixed some of the arena's lighting, the broadcast services, the boards for hockey, the dressing rooms have all gotten some attention there. If you're not familiar, it's been 9 years since the Vancouver Giants of the WHL moved out to the Langley Event Center, so it has been without a primary hockey tenant
Crazy, 9 years.
for nearly a decade. The club also gave fans a sneak peek at some of the food and beverage options that are going to be available for the November 21st home and season opener against Seattle. Apparently they're going cheap on beer and wine, too. You can get $5 beer, $5
Smart.
wine there at Pacific Coliseum. And the Daily Hive also points out tickets are hot for this game on the 21st. There is not a single pair remaining in the lower bowl. So expecting a good crowd, if not a sellout crowd, for the PWHL debut here in 10 days' time. They do have some exhibition games planned for this weekend, but those are not open to the public. They want to do the big reveal on the 21st.
An interesting fast food item at the concession that might catch on for them. Might be like a cool, Wimbledon has the strawberries and whipped cream thing. Black Forest cake, I believe. They're doing cake. So as opposed to like an ice cream bar.
Yeah.
You get cake.
I like a Black Forest cake.
Why not? Make something.
Is there
your
a
own
cultural tie, like a
No,
city
I don't
tie?
think so.
No, just
like cake and wine, and
Oh, okay.
have some fun at the game.
All right.
See if it catches on.
So be it. Time now for our menu, brought to you by Greta. Fantastic spot to pregame or postgame because you are just steps from the arena or the stadium. If you're looking for a venue for your next team building sociable event, maybe it's a team party, check out Greta. Great street food, the poutine, decadent, the tacos, delicious. Plus, always a fun time at that large arcade that encircles the bar. For more info to book your event, go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. We'll talk to Cam Robinson here of Elite Prospects. We'll talk to him. He's done some poking around on center icemen that are in the Vancouver Canucks interest as well. He's just finished visiting Gavin McKenna, the presumptive first overall pick at Michigan State. Plus, as already mentioned, we go through the make-believe exercise of a rebuild. What would that look like, at least in the here and now of this season, should the Canucks choose to go that route? I don't think they'll be allowed to go that route, but nevertheless. Later in the program, talk some football. Thomas Müller versus Sonny. The big collision of international soccer giants set to take place a week from Saturday at BC Place in that Whitecaps LAFC playoff match. There's a long history between these two that I was unaware of until yesterday.
One that looks good for the Whitecaps.
With the Caps, yeah. And the passing of a hockey legend, a Vancouver Island hockey legend. We'll get to that later in the program. Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I was a loser yesterday. Blake was on the Packers, so you fire first. What says you?
The 500th NHL game for Connor Garland tonight. I feel like he has a sense of timing and for the dramatic. An anytime goal for Connor Garland at plus 230. I like that.
Well, I've sort of decided that I'm just going to bet a Quinn Hughes breakout here until it happens because
I've been doing that too.
God knows.
The 2 point.
Yeah, no, I know. You've been on this tip as well because God knows we're approaching the quarter pole or the quarter mark of this NHL season. So let's see it, Quinn. I mean, at some point it's going to has to happen here. Quinn Hughes as an anytime goal scorer is plus 375. So give me that.
I like the 2.
I'm going to ride with
I like the
cap.
2 points as well as plus 220 for 2 points. I mean, that's not a lot to ask usually for Quinn Hughes.
No. Goals. Need goals. And he's got to be, if not a guy creating them, then someone who occasionally chips in. Want to see a goal from Hughes tonight, plus 375. This segment, a presentation of Bet365, whatever your bet. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION when doing so. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Cam Robinson coming up next. Carson Price from the historic Wall Center.
This segment brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, which will restore your love for driving once again. The Zip, the electric and the gas engine working in combination. The hybrid performance is incredible. You're in a rocket ship, and the cockpit, pretty rocket shippy as well, although not overwhelming to use. Very intuitive. You just feel like you've been driving that car for years. Go check it out. Take one for a test drive. You'll see everything that we're talking about here. You can lease one right now for $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down, and that includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today.
We're joined now by Cam Robinson. He is the Senior Director of Everything at Elite Prospects.
That's on the card.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long card.
It's a train of a title. He's the Senior Director of just about everything. So we're just going forward. You're
and at the
Senior
very end,
Director.
very curious, it says, and catering, which I never got that, but...
He's responsible for the food and bev on top of everything else. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing well. He's just got a stack of mini sandwiches over here, ready to go.
That's right. He's working on his finger sandwiches.
Crust off.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Good.
We know you were in Michigan State last week to see Gavin McKenna. We're going to talk about that in a few moments here. But I want to start because you've done some poking around on Ryan O'Reilly, which is a name we've discussed in terms of the Canucks hunt for a second-line center. What are you hearing there?
Yeah, so as many people are, whenever you ask around and say what's percolating, it's Vancouver's still looking for a center. You know, that seems to just be the common theme. I had somebody reach out to me last night and mention that, unsurprisingly, they were poking around Ryan O'Reilly, who has another year on his deal, I do believe, at $4.5 million. Now, he doesn't have a no move, but the Preds are kind of treating it as if he does. You know, they're looking for a deal that makes sense, and then they're checking with him: are you interested in this club? From what I was told, he's not super interested in Vancouver. I think he's looking, if he is going to move, to jump to a very legitimate contender. He wants to go somewhere that gives him the best shot to win. And, hard to argue with at this point that Vancouver would be considered a legitimate cup contender.
Yeah, one rung above the Predators is not necessarily an improvement for him in terms of his lot in life. So that shouldn't be too surprising.
What about Stamkos, his teammate there in Nashville? Cam, what are you hearing there?
Yeah, so another one that, teams are, just despite, the very, very little production that he's been putting out and the big price tag, is that teams are checking in. Again, I was told by a few people that his desire is, first of all, he's not super keen to move out of Nashville. He's moved the family there. They're getting settled and feeling comfortable. But if he did leave, the first preference would be to go somewhere with a warmer climate. And so, the first thing you think of is like, Florida Panthers, like how much fun would that script be going down to Sunrise right across from the Bolts? Kind of the story writes itself. But the other one I was thinking about too is Anaheim, right? They have cap space. They have a very, very young team. This is just conjecture on my part, but they could use the veteran leadership. But the one that I was told has, maybe even more than just kick the tires on Stamkos is the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know they're looking for a center, but they're also looking for somebody who could maybe make some plays off the wing next to 34 there. He's obviously from the the Toronto area, general area there. Him and John Tavares are very close, getting a chance to play with Matthews. I mean, that one might have legs. I think that we're most likely going to see something happen later on in the season as that cap space gets, or that cap gets chewed up even further. And maybe he finds his legs a little bit too. But yeah, I think Toronto and Stamkos, it might have some legs. Yeah.
And how about the Blues? Those Kyrou and Shen, and any smoke around them?
When Kyrou got scratched, I immediately reached out, to several people, including his agency there. And, I think it was just, it wasn't trade related in any regard. It was kind of a wake up call, which I thought was pretty interesting because, the underlying metrics indicate that Kyrou has been, one of, if not their best forwards this year too, just not getting a ton of puck luck. So I think maybe a wake up call for the entire team too. We're going to scratch one of these players that has a big deal, a big ticket, and let's get going here in the right direction. So I'd be surprised if anything happens on Kyrou now. He does have many, many years left on his deal, and some teams might appreciate that for a younger player too, is that they have him now. They know how much he's going to cost long term. So nothing right now, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm no meteorologist, but I would think Nashville is warmer than Toronto for Mr.
Yes.
Stamkos, I guess. He's carving out an exception there for the
It's
hometown.
not warm per se, but warmer than Toronto, yes.
Yeah. Cam, there was a bunch of rebuild talk around the Canucks late last week after we talked to you. Now, some of it, I think, is Bedard coming to town as the first overall pick and Vancouver guy because, I mean, they're right there with all these other teams in the mushy middle of the West. Well, the whole NHL is a mushy middle this year, you could argue.
Yeah.
Let's play Fantasyland here for a second and say that Francesco Aquilini green lights a rebuild to the Vancouver Canucks. Again, like something I don't think is ever going to happen under this owner, but let's just play out the scenario. How easy, how difficult would a rebuild be for the Vancouver Canucks? Are we looking at years and years and years, or are we looking at something that could be turned around relatively quickly?
Depends on your definition of relatively, I suppose, but no proper rebuild happens quickly. And there's always, there is risks attached to it. We look at the Buffalo Sabres. How long have they been rebuilding for, right? But then, you look at other teams like Chicago has, it looks like they're on their way back up. Same with Anaheim, but it does take years. So if we're going to play make-believe and we're going to say that Aquilini does agree to this, obviously bye-bye Quinn, which, is probably a realistic outcome regardless of what the owner decides here long-term. They still have a lot of good players on their roster, right? Thatcher Demko isn't going to start letting pucks in at an extreme rate. They still have Pettersson. They still have Brock Besser. They still have a lot of good pieces. So number one, you're going to have to probably move a good number of those players out so that you can be bad enough to get the good picks because you'd want to bottom out 26, 27, 28, getting high picks, accruing more picks, getting all the darts that you can. And then if you want to do it, if you do well at those drafts and you develop players quickly, you start going all in on the 29 and 2030 free agent class, which, that maybe that is Bedard in one of those years. It is at the very least, that's like Quentin Byfield, Miro Heiskanen, those type of guys in their late 20s, early 30s would be available at this point. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years. But that would be kind of the model you'd be looking at. You'd have to strip it down. Fan apathy would happen. Owner's going to lose money. And then you have to hopefully inject all that high-end young talent that you do good work at the draft and then start spending big on and recruiting those free agents. Not easy.
Not easy. No, not easy at all. Let me ask you this. Do you think you could get a first-round pick for Kiefer Sherwood this year?
Yeah, probably at the deadline you could. Yeah, because he's a unique player. Like, yes, he's shooting the lights out and the unsustainable conversion rate is just not going to stand, but he also just hits everything that moves and he kills penalties and he can chip in with, he's proven now, this is the second year in a row that he's really proven that he can score some big goals too. And so he is a playoff type player that I absolutely do think you could probably pull a first rounder and that would be great value, right? Like selling high on a guy like that would make a lot of sense for this team, but not historically what they've chosen to do. You
think you could get a second for Evander Kane with salary retention?
Again, at the deadline, maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't be outrageous. I think that, he's not playing poorly. The numbers aren't great, but if you keep plugging him out there in a first line role, you hope that he's going to start to put some numbers on the board. And yeah, again, another player who has shown he can step up in the playoffs. He plays physical. He does have speed still. Yeah, I think you could pull a top 60 pick for that.
And then just one more for you. What, like a fourth-round pick for Teddy Bluger, another UFA? Is that a reasonable?
Yeah, mid-rounder, maybe even a third. You never know at the deadline, right? Right? Prices go up.
Just playing this out. So
you're ranking all those together into a pile.
Well, okay. So let's say a Hughes return. Let's call it a good young roster player, a good young prospect, and a first-round pick. He may go for more than that.
Yeah,
but let's just baseline it at that. Then a first rounder for Sherwood, a second for Kane, and an additional middle round pick. So if they did trade the UFAs and Qs, you're looking at potentially 3 first round picks in this coming draft, couple of seconds, couple of thirds or fourths, and a young prospect and another young roster player for Hughes. And then that's your springboard. That's where you're jumping off point from there, Cam. And then you've got several years of
pain,
not being very competitive. And it's complicated, of course, by cap space isn't quite the asset it used to be, right? Because most of these guys are not.
Yeah, without a doubt, is that previously those rebuilding teams, that cap space was a serious weapon that they could utilize, and that they could peel off good players or picks in order to chew up other people's problems. And as the cap goes up here and continues to go up, that'll be less of a factor. The thing with moving Quinn is that you're never going to get value for him, right? You're never going to get what he is to the organization. And if you're rebuilding, you need a player like Quinn. It can't be him because he wouldn't stick around for it, but you need that all-world player to build around. And super unlikely you're going to get that player in a trade for him. And you'd have to not only bottom out, but then get lucky in the lottery as well to draft that player too. So it's, you do run the risk. You do this. Right now, they're a team that has some star players and they have a superstar player. And you run the risk of all of a sudden you wake up one morning and it's 2029 and you don't have any superstars and you have a few good players and you are right where you were in 2026.
What's the likelihood of doing what Matt just said and trying to package all those draft picks and wooing some pre-draft lottery, trade for a first-round pick that's above where you are, giving somebody 2 first-round picks plus a second plus a fourth to get their ticket into the lottery? Do you think that would ever happen?
It could, if that team that has the lottery ticket is trying to go up the standings. Yeah. Right. If they are, if it's Chicago, let's say, or San Jose, who've decided that they're like, you know what, we ended up sucking this year and we didn't want to, and we want to take steps forward. Maybe they'd be interested in something like that. But again, not for multiple picks. They would
but
want
it's
players.
volume. It's volume. You're trading volume for one.
I'm never a big proponent of that. Like I like sliding back if you're in, the middle of the first round or towards the end of the second round, because the discrepancy on percentage likely hitting is so much lower. But if you have a chance to pick 2 or 3 and you're like, well, we'll trade this for 9 and 14. I don't like that at all. Yeah. So I'd say that's pretty unlikely. But, we were talking in Michigan, there was tons of scouts and agents and execs there. And we were talking like the best time to trade a draft pick is, the day of the draft before you make the pick. And the best time after that is every day post, right? Like the shine comes off these players, like basically the day after the draft, and only gets less and less, unless they turn out to be good players, then you don't want to move them at all. So that's another thing to consider too, is that, yes, if you're going to trade draft picks, you want to trade them for players and you want to do it before you make the pick.
While we're talking picks,
a draft pick is never as valuable as it is on draft weekend. It is least valuable on trade deadline day, and then the day after the draft, their forward is Cam.
Let's just get your Gavin McKenna stories now while we're dreaming in Technicolor of the Canucks being in that conversation. What did you see?
Yeah, I saw a player that is struggling against the strength and competition at the NCAA level. The body language was, I won't want to say defeated, but, he was shying away from contact. He was lackadaisical defensively, which isn't new for him, but, he had a lot more kind of thief in the night in the WHL where he'd come and pick a guy's pocket and then he would, turn it up ice and make plays. But making plays, he's still doing. Penn State scored 1 goal that weekend, I believe. And he banked it in. And he also created probably, at least 3/4 of the chances that they had. His playmaking is supreme. He's not, he's not playing with players that are able to keep up to his level, I would say at this point. He's not playing on the first line with Charlie Serrato and JJ Weedbush there. If he was, you could imagine he'd have several more points. But the discourse around him, talking with those scouts and those execs and those agents, it's a lot of head scratching. Is that is the development moving in the right direction? Right. And does he have enough jam to succeed at this level? And if he doesn't, does he have enough jam to succeed in the NHL? And personally, I said it in a video there yesterday, is that he is by far the most skilled player in this draft. It's not even really close to me, but the question is he going to develop into the best player from this draft class? And so it's going to take a lot for someone to overtake him because of the body of work that he's already shown internationally and at the major junior level. Yeah. But you really hope that he finds his game at the World Juniors this year and springboards back to the NCAA, because right now, there was one play where they were down. Michigan State took a penalty and it became 4-on-4 with an offensive zone faceoff for Penn, and they pulled him off the ice, and it looked like somebody just killed his dog. He was just he's not used to that. He's not used to that. Even though he's seeing tons of minutes, he's just he's not used to not being the guy in every single situation and getting to play with the best players. And it's hard for him. I think he's struggling a little bit. At the same time, he's still 14 points in 12 games. So it's not like he's sitting there with 3, right?
No, yeah.
The natural follow-up there, Cam, is that if you have this WHL wonderkind who is struggling in the NCAA, what does that say about the level of play at the NCAA vis-a-vis the WHL and major junior hockey these days?
Well, this is the best I've seen of college hockey, and that floor just seems to keep on rising, right? With this influx of CHL talent, we're going to see it happen more and more and more. I wrote an article that just came out this morning about it, just the path that these kids, the opportunities now, like, and the trickle down too, right? These players that used to play junior A that could make Div 1, maybe they're playing D3 now because NCAA Division 1 has raised up so high. And the CHL will naturally become a little more watered down, even though they're pulling some younger American players over from the USHL. They're going to target more Europeans. Inevitably, they're going to lose their very best 19, 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and then those superstar 17-year-olds. And then when the AHL, that new CBA kicks in next year, and 19-year-olds from each team can go up to the AHL, they're going to lose even more marketable stars and guys that are going to help raise the sea tide there. So it's tough for the CHL, and it's great for college hockey.
Is there anybody with some extreme helium that's not named Stenberg or McKenna? Is Verhoff starting to make some inroads here on the rankings?
Yeah, absolutely. He's, I'm in talks right now to go out to North Dakota and see him and spend some time with him for a weekend too, coming up in the new year. And I'm looking forward to that. They're easing him in. He's a very young 17-year-old Keaton. And so, right now they're keeping his minutes, under 20, but they're going to take the training wheels off him sooner rather than later because he is handling it very well. But the other guy to watch out for is Eason Belchets too. He is just a monster in the OHL, 6'5". I think he's playing at like 230 right now. He has some performances where you're like, this guy's going to be first overall pick, but then he has more average performances as well too. So he's got to kind of find some consistency up at that high bar. But no, there's going to be some challengers, and Ivar Stenberg's having one of the best draft eligible seasons in the SHL that we've seen. He's a much older player. He's nearly a year older than a guy like Keaton Verhoff. But McKenna's going to have challengers, and so he's going to need to keep his play and ramp it up here too. It makes for good discourse throughout the year too, which is fun for me.
Blake asked me yesterday whether we're daring to dream on potentially 20 goals from Drew O'Connor with the way that he's playing right now for the Vancouver Canucks. A thought or two about what you've seen from the Canucks winger who has picked up his game at, precisely the right time. He needed it because he had struggled off the hop, and the Canucks needed it because they need some goals.
Yeah, I mean, him and Sherwood, they've been pretty clutch, more Sherwood too, but it's good, and guys can go on heaters for sustained periods of time, and maybe he could push for 20 goals if he stayed on it. But this guy's a career 7-8% shooter who's clicking closer to 20% right now. He barely puts a shot on goal per game. It's unrealistic to think, unless the volume gets ramped up, that he's going to be able to maintain anywhere near this pace. But it's good for him. 27 years old. He's having himself a good start to the season. Like you said, Vancouver needs him if they want to continue to push up. They need those guys, those role players to contribute, because unfortunately, the guys that are getting paid the most money aren't scoring at an elite rate right now.
Okay, my man. You recover from that journey back from snowy Michigan. See, he just had a snow. So let's just recap here. He goes to Sweden. He gets dreadfully sick on the way back.
Yeah.
He goes to Michigan. He gets stuck in snow, has a bit of a scratchy throat on the way back. And now he's baying to go to North Dakota in January, Blake.
And the government shutdown also froze him down there as well. So he's had planes, trains, and automobiles. And it is that time of year for that movie too. So
right,
it's true. Yeah, perks of travel, right? And it's pretty good. I was talking to Nodak there. I was like, maybe I come see you at Arizona State. Maybe I catch you on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Catch him on the road.
Exactly.
Catch him on the road.
There are direct flights to Phoenix if they have the air traffic controller south of the line.
Yeah.
We're just one fly into North Dakota.
I think it's Tempe, maybe. Oh, North Dakota. Oh, gosh,
just one fly into
Winnipeg.
Minneapolis, Winnipeg?
Yeah, Winnipeg.
Then drive? Oh, boy.
Does Winnipeg even have an airport? What's going on here?
Whoa. We got a Winnipegger here. They are hosting a Grey Cup from coast to coast.
Joking.
They're landing in
International
Winnipeg.
airports. They fly international. They go to places like Palm Springs, Palm Springs, all of those places.
I didn't know your game, Winnipeg. I didn't respect
when I was
game.
early on the CFL beat and making my annual trips to Regina and Winnipeg, someone pulled me aside and said, "There's just something you should know on the ground. Reginans know they live in a shithole. Winnipeggers don't. So don't make
Don't make that mistake. Don't let them know.
No, exactly. Yeah. So play along with the Winnipeggers. Thank you, Cam.
There we go. Cheers, boys. We'll talk to you soon.
Harrison Price from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the Historic Wall Center, built by Arbor Lee, the studio, not the hotel.
It's true.
Game night, make it a game weekend. Turn that ticket into a downtown getaway. Special Harrison Price rate here at the Wall. Book now, 604-331-1000. Say you heard it here. Some blackout dates apply based on availability. Well, the CFL has approved player participation in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics in flag football, making its Olympic debut. CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston saying, despite the Summer Olympics taking place during our season, the Board of Governors recognize the wealth of opportunities provided by competing on international sport's biggest stage. Oh, good of at least this commissioner to understand that.
Yes.
The tournament runs July 15th to 22nd. It is still unclear on whether the league is going to pause its season to accommodate. There might be a world where you can just do it with bye weeks. It's only a week-long tournament, Blake. So
I think you just take the week off.
Well, anyways, they haven't announced what they're doing with their schedule yet for 2028.
It's a great idea, though, because it is a wonderful. There's no guarantee that you get good publicity or great stories out of it.
Well, there's no guarantee you have CFL players on these teams.
Well, on the Canadian team, you'd have to believe who's the quarterback of the Canadian team.
You would think, but as these guys are out here playing 12-man tackle football, there are teams out there playing flag. Like, it is not the same.
I believe Michael O'Connor is the current Canadian quarterback.
Yeah, the former UBC Thunderbird.
Yeah.
And BC Lion. I must say I'm relatively ignorant here. Obviously, some of the skills translate to flag, but it is a different game.
That's fair. It's fair.
Where I do think you're going to see CFL players is some of the global players. Remember, every team is carrying a global player now. In fact, there's now 37 global players identified as not Canadian or American from 16 different countries playing in the league. Well, 14. Canada and the U.S. counts in that. So, for the Lions, Debaye, the defensive tackle, probably not. He's Belgian, but
even if you can make the argument with me that Michael O'Connor knows the stuff better because he's been doing Nathan Rourke is there, I think. I think he's absolutely there as another option for them.
Mm-hmm. Ford in Edmonton got a couple of quarterbacks.
Yeah, and he's the athletic quarterback, too, so that's interesting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But honestly, I'm not even familiar with all the rules of flag at the highest level.
Like the new look flag, I don't know.
Like, I've played flag football, but I'm not sure I've played flag football that is currently sanctioned and being played around the world. That's a competitive
And I'm
sport.
willing to give it a chance, to be honest. But I am a little bit skeptical.
Well, I don't think it's going to last too far beyond the Los Angeles Olympics. If you're not familiar, cities that host the Olympics do have a say in terms of the sports schedule.
2 or 3 swing sports, I think.
Yeah.
I forget what it is, but
yeah. So for example, baseball was part of the sports curriculum in Beijing, China. It was not in London.
Yeah.
I
think it's coming back.
2012. Yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't think
it's definitely coming back for
I didn't
LA.
think I'd like 3-on-3 basketball, but I actually didn't mind it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was
didn't mind
decent. And here's the other thing. Medal possibility for Canada because, of course, we are the number 2 playing football nation. And secondly, we tend to do well in new Olympic sports.
Yes. Before the rest of y'all figure it out, we're going to nail this.
Shout out bouncy castles.
Yes.
The NFL weekend begins and ends with 10-7 games.
Wow.
4 days after Denver beats Las Vegas in a desultory Thursday nighter, an anticipated Monday nighter ends with the same score, Philly over Green Bay. So this thing wasn't quite as ugly as the Thursday nighter. It was 126 plays to 115. It was 31 first downs to 20.
Yeah, that's better.
The Eagles and Packers averaged 4.9 and 4 yards per play as opposed to 3.2 and 3.9 yards per play. 3 turnovers in both games. That game Thursday had 400 total yards offense. This had 555. That game Thursday had 22 penalties. This had but 11. It was better entertainment, but it was 0-0 at halftime, if I can use the soccer, and it was 3-0 after 3 quarters.
No.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I'm glad I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So with the victory, Philadelphia ties Seattle and the Rams at 7-2 atop the NFC. They would be the number 1 seed in the postseason if it started today. Seattle, as we know, would be number 2. They were in that spot until the Philly win.
Just to take people behind the curtain on broadcasts of that sort of a game, like that's when if you're just on a 105 start on a Sunday and you're broadcasting that game, you know what you do? You're doing so many inserts on other games on the NFL skid. You're showing all the exciting plays that aren't happening in your game, and that's where you rev up the engine a little bit. When you're the standalone game,
oh boy,
and you've got nowhere to go, no other stories to tell. I feel for those guys.
Yeah, on a Sunday you're throwing it to JB and Kurt Menefee quite a bit.
All the time. Let's get the hell out of here.
Let's get to Nashville.
Yes.
Let's get to Jacksonville. In fact, let's get anywhere but here.
Yes.
At one point late in the first half, Joe Buck made this has been a pretty entertaining, decent game for 0-0. And then Aikman was like,
it's still 0-0.
Like, okay, maybe I'm crazy,
Yeah.
New York Giants fire head coach Brian Daboll. Some extraordinary collapsing from the Giants under Daboll this season.
Yes.
They were 0-4 in games in which they led by 10 points on the road. Like you lead by 10 points on the road, you should lock one of those down.
3 times a 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go?
Yeah. Well, here we are. Against the Cowboys, Broncos, and Bears, the Giants had 92.3, 99.3, and 96.9 chances of winning late in the fourth quarter. They lost them all.
Yeah.
The odds of that happening, 1 in 60,000.
I mean, it's pretty rarefied air. Pat yourself on the back.
And, of course, they were the Hard Knocks team a couple of years ago where much was made of, that we're not going to pay Daniel Jones all this money to turn around and pay Saquon all this money to hand him the ball. While, of course, Saquon went on to Philadelphia where he got a Super Bowl ring last year. And Daniel Jones is killing it in Indianapolis. He's 8-2. The Giants are 2-8. But there's symmetry here with the Jets as well because Sam Darnold is 7-2 and the Jets are 2-7. And yes, I know Darnold stopped off in Minnesota before making his way to Seattle. Vrabel with New England is 8-2. Titans are 1-8.
Wow.
Got the wrong guy.
I mean,
You moved on the wrong guy.
I really think we've stumbled upon things that, with rare exception, these quarterbacks need 5 years. And that 5 years might not be in your organization. It might be in somebody else's organization. But unless you see one guy as just the rarest of exceptions that can start playing games in year 1 or year 2, they often need 4 or 5 years. And if you don't have that, I don't know.
Well,
go with the linebacker.
Yeah.
Or pick, how many Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Sam Darnolds have been available in recent years? A ton of them.
I mean, there once upon a time, Tom Brady sat his first year. In fact, he sat his first couple of years.
Yeah.
Wasn't a high pick. There was no pressure. Patrick Mahomes sat his first year for Alex Smith. Like, there is a school of thought. Let them sit and learn the NFL game in the first year. Watch, play sparingly.
Yeah.
And, of course, it also gives you another year to build up your roster, particularly your offensive line, to protect
the
exactly.
franchises. Yes.
When you're throwing these guys to the wolves with bad offensive lines, like the quarterback is a function of the 10 other pieces on the field.
Yeah.
If your 10 other pieces are shitty, I don't care how good the quarterback is. Anyways, Whitecaps and LAFC, as we've mentioned, is not only an MLS playoff match, this is a week from Saturday, but a clash of international soccer giants. And first of all, I did not realize that Thomas Müller and Korea's son of LAFC now had faced each other as often as they had over their careers. And Thomas Müller has won 8 of 12 head-to-head meetings with club and country. He's 8 wins, 3 draws, and only 1 defeat against the Korean star. And that loss was an international affair. Korea beat Germany 2-0 at the 2018 World Cup. Müller has won every match or got a result at every match for club. Müller beat him twice when Sonny was at Tottenham in Champions League with Bayern Munich, of course. Then it was 6 wins and 2 draws when Sonny was with Bundesliga side Leverkusen and Hamburger. I didn't even know Sonny had played.
Doesn't ring a bell. No?
Yeah.
Well, let's add one more.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Major League Baseball is taking corrective steps with its gaming partners to prevent future occurrences of pitch rigging. In the wake of the Cleveland Guardians scandal, Emmanuel Clase, Luis Ortiz indicted on wire fraud and bribery charges. Prominent U.S. sports books are establishing a nationwide betting limit of $200 on baseball wagers centered on individual pitches, and they're prohibiting those bets from being included in parlays. This is going to decrease the incentive for manipulation, according to Major League Baseball. Commissioner Rob Manfred, quote, "I commend the industry for working with us to take action on a national solution to address the risks posed by these pitch-level markets, which are particularly vulnerable to integrity concerns."
Yeah, and I think that for me, I bet the players justify it in their own minds because they feel like, oh, these are so small. If I get on board with somebody, I'm not a detriment to my team. Who cares if I throw one ball here, one ball there, and I get the payout of being involved in all this? Like I can see why this one is particularly vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that we
even more so than like points in tennis. Did you hear his phrasing though? I bet the players think Blake's taking 2-1. That's what the players think.
Plus 180.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, though. Baseball's had quite a history with gambling, of course, right? The Black Sox, Pete Rose, and now this. Like, just when you thought that NBA gambling scandal would take the day, here comes Emmanuel Clase.
So many elements with the ball in play every few seconds. There's so many things.
Fixed events, baby. Yeah. When you can bet on those fixed events. And lastly, sad news here from the world of hockey in Vancouver Island. The passing of former National Hockey Leaguer and Victoria Cougar legend Mel Bridgman at just age 70. Bridgman was born and spent his early years in Ontario, but then he moved to Victoria, where he joined the WCHL Cougars. That is the forerunner of the Western Hockey League as we know it now. And in 74-75, he was a goal a game, 66 goals in 66 games, 157 points. That standout season made him the first overall pick in the draft from the Philadelphia Flyers. He later served as Flyers and New Jersey Devils captain. He was also the general manager of the expansion Ottawa Senators, played nearly 1,000 NHL games. When it was done, he went to the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business and got an MBA. So not a dumb guy, Mel Bridgman. Spent his post-hockey life in finance, living in California. He was honored with induction to the Greater Victoria Sports Hall of Fame in 2005. And Mike, your dad played minor hockey with him growing up?
Yeah, back in Trenton. Bridgman's a 55. My dad's a 54. So.
Yes, good. But the crazy part is your dad in Trenton and then on Vancouver Island and Ladysmith.
Yeah,
so you guys had the same migration as the Bridgmans.
We were wannabe Bridgmans, you could say.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I think, wanted to be Mel Bridgman in the mid to late 70s after a season like that. We condolences to all those who knew and loved Mel. Results of the Redwoods Golf Course poll question from yesterday. Did this weekend restore any faith in the Canucks? The options here were yes, no, or what faith? And the winner is, Blake?
No.
Correct. Percentage?
60.
41. What faith got 33% of the vote? Yes got merely 27. Guevara, moderately yes. Good teams, played them hard, injured players coming back. Canucks girl, I always have faith. Pucker Glenn, yes. Faith that the 2026 first is in immediate danger of being traded away.
You should be fair to that.
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility. Mm-hmm. Errors and omissions from yesterday's program and beyond. And in fact, we have an ancestral error here. It was, certainly a week from Monday, so November 3rd, and perhaps even before that. In fact, almost certainly before that, because there was something about the CFL rule changes that I missed, that just escaped me. The play clock. And as you know, the CFL is going from a 20-second play clock where the ball is spotted for play and then the officials blow it in to a 35-second running play clock. And I said coming off of that Lions West semifinal win against Calgary, that is not the ending that you will get with the running play clock. Remember the 3 field goals in the last minute, 10 seconds of the game. Well, I am mistaken. Inside the final 3 minutes, the play clock is still going to run. They are going to stop the game clock until the ball is spotted for play. And I got to say, I'm a little surprised by that because that was clearly a speaking point from the CFL in terms of why they wanted to change this rule. Commissioner Johnston mentioned it. Amar Doman mentioned it with us last week. The official's taking so long to spot the ball. The final 3 minutes of our game takes forever because of how long it takes the officials to get the ball spotted for play and the chain set and all that. It's not changing, gentlemen, at least not in the final 3 minutes. I can understand why you'd want to change that for the previous 57 minutes of the game because it is wasted time. But in the final 3 minutes, you were still going to get that scenario. I guess there's a subtle difference in terms of...
You're still racing the clock for a penalty.
You're still racing the clock, and the clock can expire on you. So for now, like Sunday, for example, Montreal's coming back against Saskatchewan, completes a pass deep, receivers down, touched, 1 second left on the play clock. Montreal gets another, on the game clock, Montreal gets another play. In this new world, they are going to have to snap that ball before the second elapses. Whereas in the current world, they've got their last play. The clock can expire and you get one more snap. That's not going to be the case in the new world. But one of the time-wasting things we were told about why they want to go to this clock does in fact stay the same, which for the purposes of exciting finishes and a game not being over until it's over is probably correct, but it runs antithetical to what they were arguing with us.
I'm just worried about confusion. Like, I don't think the fan is going to know what's going on.
I was confused too until I saw JC Abbott of 3 Down Nation writing about this yesterday.
Yeah.
And JC says he's even timed officials in this scenario, and he comes up with it's about 15 seconds to get a ball spotted. So really, it should be a wash with the 20-second play clock.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, a subtlety to the time, and the timing rules go into effect next year, everybody. The goalposts are going, it's taking 2 years, but the timing rules go into effect next year.
Okay. I don't know that I know what you're talking about, but okay.
Is it not clear?
No.
Okay. Do you want me to say it again?
No. We'll go over it off the air.
The clock, the game clock is going to stop in the final 3 minutes after every play.
But then
it does right now.
You said you're going to have to snap.
It's not going to run like it does in the NFL.
So just per your example, there's 1 second left when the guy goes down. Why is the clock going to expire? You just told me that it's going to be blown down.
When the ball is spotted for play, then the game clock begins.
Yeah, then it ticks down to 0 and the game is over before you snap, really?
that is the case going forward, like the NFL.
Yeah.
Right now in the CFL, so long as the play is over with time on the clock, you get another play.
And it can run down to zero. And
It can run down to zero. You're not up against the game clock to snap that ball. In the new world, you will be up against the game clock to snap that ball.
Okay.
But you will still have the game clock stopped until the ball is spotted and ready for play by the officials.
15 seconds to reset.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's effectively the same rule, other than the game clock can run out on you, as opposed to what we have today.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's odd. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our assorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social. That's X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. We're live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time, weekdays. We have an inquiry about what we're doing Friday. Mentioned yesterday that we are going early on Friday because of the Canucks 4 p.m. start. It'll be a 10 a.m. start to the program on Friday. He's not going to be here. Jeff's going to sit in. And please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Keep it local.